Hi, welcome back to Homeschool and You, where we bring home to school and school to home and discuss all things you and your growth and development in the process. I'm Nakia. I am a wife, homeschool mom of one, and a leadership coach, consultant, and speaker. And if you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. For today, I wanted to talk about support and how important it is to have support on the homeschool journey. A lot of times when we think about support for homeschool, the first thing we think about is support for our children. I know a barrier for a lot of parents is thinking about the topic of socialization, like will my kids be okay as far as being to connect with other kids and not just other people in general, but especially other kids socially. And, that is something that we have had to navigate as well. And some of these pointers will help them in that process. But I think it's also important to think about what kind of support do you need for yourself in the journey. I know for me, I am a work from home mom, and so I don't really get like I don't go into an office, so I don't see people very regularly for my job. And so I was pretty kind of concerned about just even more isolation by being at home with my kid and homeschooling him. So some of the things I wanted to talk about today was just ways to think about having support, whether it's for you socially, or whether it is kind of outsourcing some of the teaching responsibilities. Um, to help support you overall as well. So, the first thing is pretty popular, but co-ops are amazing. They are great opportunities to connect with other homeschool families on a weekly basis. A lot of communities have co-ops in the area. If you just do a quick Google search for co-ops near me, you should find some. Sometimes they're based out of churches. But not necessarily all of them are based out of churches. And they usually, because they're called co-ops for cooperative, they usually include parental involvement. And so you and all the other homeschool families gather like once a week usually, and you come together and you teach your children as a community. And so with that option, you would be bringing your child to be in community and learning with other kids, and you would also be serving the other families that are there. I have made a choice up until now to not join a co-op. I haven't found a co-op that's a great fit for us. And also because of like my work from home schedule, I didn't want to have somewhere that I had to be every day for however many hours it was. In my first year, can I be really honest? I didn't feel comfortable teaching somebody else's kids because I was like, let me figure out how I'm going to teach mine first, right? But there are plenty of co-ops, I guess, depending upon your geographical area. I have found that there are plenty of co-ops available. And this time of year is actually a great time of year to go and visit them. And so this is the season where a lot of co-ops are doing open houses, and many of them have some sort of like brief application process. So if you're interested in that, or even thinking about homeschooling your child next year and think you might want to be in a co-op, this is the perfect time of year to go and explore. The second thing I want to talk about is having an umbrella. And so having an umbrella is just having some type of oversight. At least in Maryland, where I am, we have county oversight by default. As soon as you put in your notice of intent to the county, your oversight is with them unless on that intent form you list having an umbrella or oversight through another organization. And so I actually have oversight through an umbrella called Embassy Homeschool, which is offered through my church. And I'll put information about that in the links. But umbrellas are wonderful opportunities to have some extra support. I know with our umbrella, not only do we have oversight as far as making sure we're meeting all the county standards, but they also offer consultations. Like my husband and I met with them before we even started homeschooling to just ask questions and see if it would be a great fit for our family. And they have been a great support with like helping pick curriculum, things to think about that I wouldn't know because I never homeschooled before. So definitely, 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 if you're interested, they usually do have a fee. The oversight through the county is free, but most umbrellas do have a fee. But to me, it's worth the fee and the investment for that extra support. Another way to support yourself in the process of homeschooling is by outsourcing some of the teaching. And I know people kind of land in different places about this because it's like, if I'm homeschooling my child and the point was for me to be the primary teacher, why would I outsource any of the teaching? And so I get that, and this might not be for you at all, but some people, either certain topics they don't feel comfortable with, like math, um, or time-wise, they're not able to teach their child every subject. So this is just another option for a way to support you and your family as you're homeschooling. And I have found in my area, at least, there are lots of opportunities for this. So I would encourage looking at community colleges. One of our community colleges has homeschool programming on Fridays, and they are classes that homeschoolers can just come to as many as they want for the day, of course, for a fee. And it's a great opportunity, again, for your child to socialize and be in a learning environment with other homeschool kids. But also, you get a little break. And so the first time I did this with my son, we just did one class, even though I think we had the option of doing up to five classes. And y'all, this was only an hour class, but the relief I felt Friday mornings at 10 when I got to drop them off and go for a walk or catch up on work or read a book was so nice. And so don't be afraid to look into if there are classes being offered by your community college, your local library. Our libraries offer like STEM classes in the afternoons, art classes. And there are also these things called tutorials as well. So if you do a search for that, I know there's a tutorial that meets at our community college. It's not connected to the college, but it's basically similar to a co-op, a cooperative, but it's slightly different, I think, as far as like the commitment and what's offered. But I would say Google search all of those if you're interested in just having some extra support. So co-ops alongside Umbrella, alongside looking for outsourcing classes through your local library or community college. And then two more things as far as like support for yourself. I have found it's a little bit old school, so this is telling my age, but like Facebook groups have been amazing for me. I'm in like my county homeschool connector Facebook group. I am in like a Maryland moms homeschooling group. I think I'm in like four or five homeschooling groups, a Christian, just really broad national Christian moms homeschooling group. And oh my gosh, it's just so nice to not feel alone. And go into those groups for resources. I know people do post for support, for advice, but you get a lot of ideas. And at the very least, like when I'm scrolling those groups, I'm seeing, girl, you're not alone. And so I would say utilizing social media for support. And then the last thing is just connecting with local homeschool families in person. Um, how this comes about could be different. I know one of the homeschool families that we are good friends with, we actually met them before we started homeschooling. And then it just so happened that we both have ended up homeschooling our kids this year. So it's like a friendship that has just gotten to continue, and we get to support each other through homeschooling. Another family was just totally God. Like we were in the process of discerning if we wanted to homeschool. Went to this open gym event with like another mom at the school that my son was going to, and this young mom of two walks in, and we're the only people in this open gym, and she says to me like, "Hey, are you thinking about homeschooling too?" She said, "Are you a homeschool mom too?" And I was like, "No," but I literally had just been in conversation with my other friend about like homeschooling my son. And so it was just so God. She said she had prayed that day about where she should take her kids, and was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this open gym." And I found her and I got to ask her questions about how it was. She was in her first year of homeschool. I got to ask her questions about how it's been going. And when I decided to homeschool, she was another extra support for me. So things like that, I feel like God just provides. And I would say in this area, know that to me it's quantity over quality. So I don't feel like I need to necessarily be connected to 10 to 15 homeschool families. Really, we're only really good friends with like three homeschool families. The last one is actually someone through my job. I was at a conference, and again, I'm still wrestling with the Lord about if we should homeschool or not. And someone at the conference got wind that I was thinking about homeschooling, came to me literally about to walk out of the room and leave the conference. It was a week-long conference, and it's the last day of the conference, the last session of the conference. I'm about to leave the conference. And this woman comes up to me. She's like, so I hear you're going to, you're possibly going to homeschool. I homeschooled this year. And you guys, I just started to tear up because I was just like, oh my God, there's somebody else that works and is thinking about homeschool. And it felt like God had just sent her, like, literally to me in the nick of time. And um, she was such a blessing with just helping me learn more about what it was like for her to homeschool. And she actually recommended one of my first homeschool reads, Teaching from Rest, A Homeschooler's Guide to Unshakable Peace, which I recommend. So again, know that just because you have decided to jump in this journey, this homeschool journey, or even if you're just thinking about it, it doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. And I would say just, God knows what you and your family needs, and praying and asking Him to lead you to the right people and the right places, and see what He does. So once again, if this video resonates with you, please like, please subscribe, and join us back for another video. See you next time.